So that's basically why I chose this distribution path. So, moving on to the third question, how did your production skills develop throughout this project? So, the five stages of production are these ones here, and let's go into development. Here I've included a list of the parts of my film development that I have. Especially here, I have my script and storyboard, which took me ages to do and which I'm really proud of. And these were a really big challenge for me, organizing the ideas inside my head. As a really perfectionist person, this was a big challenge. So my storyboard and script, and they taught me not to be such a perfectionist and to and how to actually get my ideas on paper. So it was a challenge that took me a bit too long, but I was proud of the final result, which is what matters. And the script and storyboard were a really big part of the film development, as I found out, because having your ideas organized is really what matters when it comes to filming and editing. It's the basis of everything else in order to make a logical film. So also the research and planning, I realized that they were crucial. So learning how other films, the type of shots that they use, or even from pictures that I found on the internet that I used inspiration from to make my storyboard and my script. It's really important to learn about the angles instead of just inventing them. So I definitely through this, I learned to think under pressure. So when I had my initial idea pitch, I had to come up with the first draft, the first idea. So I learned how to work under pressure in this project as well. And I learned how to differentiate the different subgenres within the romance, such as differentiating the teen romance here from other types of romance, such as maybe something more classic like Titanic or something that appeals to an older audience. Time management was definitely a big skill that I learned, and I got better at film analysis because I really analyzed the detail, all the teeny little details of film development to do my research and planning, which was really, really useful. So in terms of the pre-production, here is again the stuff that I did, like actor character profiles, location, blocking, etc. I learned a lot about lighting, but also about blocking the different shots. So again, this kind of links in with the development. It was just a really big learning experience about how hard actually getting the right lighting is, or how much there is to the blockings, especially in the romance genre, coming back to romance, because you have to display the dynamics between relationships. I also had to improvise because I didn't have that much time for everything when I went and I filmed. I had a limited time, so I had to, for example, for the actor character profiles, I knew what I wanted to say, but I had to improvise. I didn't have time to plan everything for such a big detail, which comes back to me not being such a perfectionist. And I also learned not to be afraid to take risks, such as changing the location in the last minute or working with a really tight schedule, because of course, as I've showed here, the risks really bring a reward. And I did get better at analyzing the mise en scène, and I understood and I learned how location is really important and has many, many different like meanings. So production, this was a big step for me. A reality check I had as this shows I was sunk into the real world, things going wrong, everything not being exactly what I imagined inside my head, and having to make the most out of everything I had. It's really different planning than actually having the camera on your hands and having to film the shots exactly as you want them to be. And so, especially in terms of lighting and the filming material available, it was a big challenge. But also, adjusting to this challenge was something that made me more mature and more acquainted with the filming equipment, such as I worked with a movable tripod that I borrowed from my neighbor, and it really helped me get to understand how camera works much better and to experiment with the different shots and with the different camera movement that I could do. So it was a big learning experience in the production side. In terms of the post production, I was thankful for such thorough planning on the storyboard and script because it guided me both through my production and post production stages. And it helped me again make a logical piece. So I learned how to use Premiere Pro. I learned how to add subtitles, change the colors, change the lighting, the speed. I learned how to edit the sound, which was a really big part of the project. I learned how to loop sound.